Good afternoon, viewers. A lovely day indeed. Sunday it is, and today we are coming to you with a special interview with Honorable Cornelius Mweetwa, who is UPND spokesperson. Viewers, encouraging you just to invite somebody. Make sure you like and follow our social media platforms. Share this broadcast so that we can interact with the Honorable live. At some point during the discussion, we'll open the phone lines and you'll be able to make your call so that you can ask your question, you can make your comment or contribution. Right about now, let me bring in Honorable Cornelius Mweetwa into the program. Good afternoon, Honorable. How are you?
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for having me. And I hope you're doing well, colleagues out there in the diaspora.
Thank you very much, Honorable. It is a pleasure to have you. You are not new on this platform, but for the sake of those that don't know you, I would like you to just give a brief introduction about yourself, Honorable.
Well, I'm a deputy. I am the party spokesperson of the UPND, and I'm the provincial minister for the Southern Province of the UPND.
Well, thank you. A little bit about your background as well. I know you have rich history from the legal side, and what you do out of politics, if you're a businessman, that kind of information, Honorable.
Well, I don't do many things. Of course, I'm a trained teacher from the University of Zambia. I'm a trained lawyer and practicing lawyer from the University of Zambia. I'm a police officer from Lilai, and I'm a politician from the Zambian political arena, and I'm a farmer somewhere in Kalomo Choma. Yeah, that is briefly that else I do.
Thank you very much. Well, viewers, today we are looking at 633 days of the UPND in governance. That is at the helm of managing our country, Zambia. And our discussion will revolve around this topic. And to just get right into it, I'll ask the Honorable just to give us a rough rating. How do you rate your performance in these 633 days that you have been running the affairs of the nation?
Thank you very much. To have a full appreciation of the rating of the UPND in the last 1 year, about 8 months or so, you have to have into contemplation that this is a party in government that is being judged as though it has been in office for 10 or 20 years. What we've been able to do this far in less than 2 years is far more than what I contend some of the political parties of the past, especially yesterday, our colleagues, the previous administration, were able to do in the positive sense of governance of our country. I think that we're on the right trajectory. And if I were to rate ourselves, I would say that out of 100% of the promises that we committed, about 70% also are have been met. The remaining 30% have to do with primarily 3 things: debt restructuring, the IMF deal, and lowering the cost of living of our people. That is the area which the government is working around the clock to be able to address, to ensure that we attain our 100% or percentage, actualization of the promises that we made to the people.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable. Now, I would like us to get into a few of the details of some of these successes that you have achieved as the UPND. So I'll give you the liberty to list or pick each area that you've scored in, and then give a rough explanation to our viewers out there.
Well, first of all, President HH as opposition leader made promises standing primarily on two legs. Number one, to do with governance here at home. That was promise number one. And in terms of governance, it had to do with restoration of the rule of law, ensuring that we return to the days of one Zambia, one nation in the true sense of it. That is having a nation which is united without discrimination and division, doing away with hate speech, doing away with political violence that had rocked the country, and ensure that you bring to an end political hooliganism and thuggery, which had characterized Zambia's politics. Um, if you go to public utility places today, you will be happy that you are in Zambia. There is no drama. Nobody will ask you which political party you belong. No one will ask you why you are wearing a particular color of your shirt or T-shirt. Everyone is free. The political, tourism of violence that was associated with the last so many years is something of the past, and we are happy to return to that beacon of peace in the region and the continent that we once were, where we were seen as a citadel of peace. That is where we are. Beyond that, you now have a representative cabinet that represents all the regions of the country, even those two provinces of Muchinga and Wapula, where we did not harvest members of parliament. Presidential nominations into cabinet have been made to be able to cover up for the gap for which the legislator had intended such a nomination to be done. The president and his administration have also gone ahead to wage a non-discriminatory, fair and fearless fight against corruption. I'm sure you now know that the citizens of this country, their confidence in the work of the Anti-Corruption Commission, which had waned, has since resumed. The only question we are cognizant of is the fact that the citizens want those who have been arrested, charged on, or alleged to have committed corrupt acts, that they be convicted now. That is an expectation of the citizens. The law doesn't work like that. The law, the wheels of the law move slowly in motion, and there has to be, due diligence in ensuring that a fair trial is done to ensure that those who are accused, only the right suspects get to be convicted. You will agree with me that not too long ago, we saw Katele Kalumba being convicted on allegations of corruption and theft, which took place under the MMD government. This is just how frustrating sometimes the legal rigmarole, and vagaries can take to be able to secure a conviction. That is the area which many of our citizens, particularly those who may have wished that things are done according to the wishes of men and not wishes of the law, are complaining about, that the speed or pace at which these convictions are secured is quite slow and perhaps frustrating. I must also indicate that on a number of promises that were made that some people thought would not be attained, we have scored 100%. Starting with free education. Free education, I think it is now a thing that everybody has come to accept. It has worked. It is not just free education. The government has gone ahead to pay for exam fees for our exam sitting pupils. Now, talking about free education, it is not free at all, because government is paying. And also, in addition to just looking at it in terms of being a free commodity, what it does is that it frees resources of families, particularly the vulnerable families who are finding it difficult to pay for their pupils or children to go to school. They are now able to go to school. The government has escalated that to those who have been unable to go to formal tertiary college education, those who are engaged in skills training for 3-4 months to acquire plumbing, crafts, and metal fabrication, electrician courses. those the government is paying for them, and when they graduate, they are bought a toolkit to begin their business, and they are given preferential treatment over CDF projects. Again, within the sphere or sector of education, we have now the return or retention of the meal allowances, which the previous administration had, cancelled. The students now are able to get their meal allowances, and only last week there was a big day when the president went to visit the University of Zambia,
Unza.
and students celebrated at
Uh-huh.
the university. And me, as former Unzasu president, I had to travel from Choma to go and join the president in that celebratory mood, at the University of
Yeah.
Zambia. It was quite
All right.
exhilarating.
So, Honorable, I want you to hold your fire on those successes, and I want us to double back a bit. You mentioned one of the successes has to deal with the rule of law, and in terms of violence and cadreism. What would you say to some people that are still saying cadreism is still there? And we've heard in the recent by-elections that were there was some violence that ensued there, and people from the opposition are saying UPND hasn't dealt with this issue. They're just kind of covering it up. Cadreism and violence is still there. What is your response to those, Honorable?
Well, I would like to tell you that the opposition, particularly our colleagues, the Patriotic Front, have lost touch with their party manifesto to such an extent that when they criticize the government, they are expected to criticize and offer alternative policy positions. Opposition confidently tell you now that as things stand, political violence has been by and large eliminated. Just isolated pockets of resistance, which are just a political hangover of the massive violence which are characterized and become the symbol of by-elections in the past. So you will be able to find that there could be those who are still drunk with the acts of violence that had characterized past kind of by-elections. As you know, bad habits die hard, but it is not something to write home about. It is not something that is threatening the peace and stability and serenity and sanity of the political environment in the country. It is something that, isolated incidents here and there. The last by-elections 2 weeks ago, on the voting day and days before, there was no single incident of election violence reported. And caption to that, I think that the reported incidents that had taken place before, that's why you saw the president take action to replace the IG, because he felt that the words he gives are policy, and those who are supposed to implement policy should spare no effort to ensure that what the president says actually gets done.
Wow. So, are we likely to see let me say, a strong hand in terms of this and having arrests? Because from one end, we can say some of these acts of cadreism border on criminality.
Yes, of course. Whatever a manner of political violence is committed, it borders on criminality, and it is actually a crime. And that is why we are very happy that whoever has been associated with political violence has been arrested. And the first example was set out in Mazabuka, where our youth, particularly the youth chairman for the UPND for Mazabuka Central, who led a group to attack some person they had said had been supporting, got arrested and got convicted, set the tone that there will be no sacred cow in the fight against political violence and in political indiscipline of the past of Boma and Boma. All that kind of political misbehavior can no longer be shielded by the law.
Wow. Thank you, Honorable. Viewers, for those of you that are joining us, this is a special interview, and today we are hosting Honorable Cornelius Mweetwa, who is UPND spokesperson. And we are looking at the 633 days that UPND has been at the helm of governance. Honorable, we continue dissecting UPND's performance in this 1 year, 6 months, and some days. You mentioned corruption. Yes, and you rightly put it that citizens are very concerned with the conviction rate. The president issued a directive that some of these cases need to be handled and disposed of within a short period of time. And as citizens, I would say we are anxious in seeing these convictions. In light of these concerns that people have, are there any other interventions, or what interventions are there to ensure that these convictions can be gotten in record time, as opposed to what we saw in the case that you alluded to involving Honorable Katere Kalumba?
Well, the president expressed a desire that these cases should be disposed of within record time. I think that that is police guidance. And as a lawyer myself, I'll indicate here that the president's desire has to be translated into some kind of written law, so that it can be enforceable and justiciable at the courts of law. For now, that is a desire of the president, and the president's desires amount to policy. So it remains with the Ministry of Justice to quickly craft some law in place that should give efficacy and life to that presidential pronouncement. Indeed, it is in keeping and a realization of what the people have demanded, that those who have stolen from the public need to be expedited. This is because in this country, those, for instance.
All right, so we seem to have lost the honorable there. Nevertheless, I can see we have a guest, and in the name of Pimpa. Pimpa, welcome to Ubuntu channel, and good afternoon.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much. The honorable is not in studio, but we hope he'll be able to join back shortly. Please make your comment, your contribution or question on today's discussion.
Well, I've just joined. I don't really, I haven't gotten the topic for discussion. Probably you can just bring me up to speed on the discussion.
Oh, great. So we are actually looking at the 1 year, 6 months, or 633 days that UPND has been in governance, and we're trying to see what successes they have achieved and what some of the hurdles have been. And that's what we are looking at. And we have been honored by Honorable Cornelius Mweetwa to kind of give light on how it has been, and to bring us up to speed on the progress that UPND has made in this regard. Well, for now, we're going to break for a short break, and we will continue the discussion after this short break. So please stay tuned and make sure you share this broadcast so that others can join in, and we can carry on this discussion and be able to probe the progress of the UPND as at the helm of governance of this country. So see you after this break.
Globally, 85% of infertility is because of infections, typically the chlamydia and the gonorrhea.
Your time is up. Thank you so much.
Maybe, since I've been mentioned, I can react to what comment Chinda just
Yes.
said.
I haven't finished my point.
Remember,
No, let me finish my point so that my brother can.
Does the Patriotic Front know the kind of damage they have done to our economy and to our country? I do not.
The alleged abduction of Pamela Chisupa, and this case has really kept us on our toes. And in as much as
nobody has been acquitted from this new dawn administration cases that have been started. There's nobody that has.
Well, welcome back to today's special interview where we are hosting Honorable Cornelius Mweetwa to help us guide us and bring us up to speed on the progresses and the hurdles that the UPND have made in terms of ruling or running and governing this country. Earlier we were interrupted, I'm sure due to connectivity, but we do have the Honorable back in studio. Honorable, welcome back, and I can see network challenges. Honorable, are you able to hear me?
Yes, very much so.
Okay, thank you very much. We will from where we left off, explaining in terms of the president's desire to have these cases handled within record time and the need for this to be put into law so that the process can be expedited. Please continue.
Yes, indeed. I was just indicating that what the president pronounces as policy, as his wishes end up to be policies of government, and they have to be actualized by way of reducing the same into writing, and where it relates to a policy position that should amount into a law, it has to be crafted as such so that it can be enforceable and justiciable before a competent court of law. And as things stand now, what the president says has to be put in law, either by way of Minister of Justice coming up with the law, or by way of the rules of the court. So this is what we expect that is going to happen going forward. Or indeed, Parliament can be able to amend the law or come up with the law. The difficulty with that is that the law does not apply retrospectively. But I think I was making an example here to state that in this country, you have a situation where somebody who has committed an offense to do with a traffic offense, there is what is called fast track, where within 3 days you are taken to court, your matter is heard, you are convicted, or you are made to pay. So people are saying, what is it that we traffic offenders do that we are made to be punished within a record a number of days, yet those who have stolen from the taxpayer are let go, are let scot-free? I think that is where we have a challenge which has some merit from concerned members of the public.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable. We'll move to the next one, the free education that you mentioned. This free education has brought a lot of excitement, though, yes, others have criticized it as well, saying we don't need the education. Tifuna pamara padibuino, where prices of everything else is down, we can sort out education. What is your response to those?
Well, of course, you will not be surprised that the majority of those people who think like that are actually those who supported the previous administration, those who live for today and now, hand to mouth. That is why Their supporters were busy dancing around for being given handouts and not opportunities. And here we are that they are no longer in government. They have gone back to squalor, except those who had accessed enough money to have invested in what is now becoming an epidemic of filling stations all over town, Lusaka, and also these platforms where people sell second-hand motor vehicles, building of apartments in order to launder their money. Otherwise, an ordinary, supporter who was living on hand to mouth, because you are talking about the state of a stomach today, has nothing to show for it. So this administration of New Dawn administration has considered that some of the challenges we have had to grapple with within the last 10 years or so, to do with the rising levels of political violence, the rising levels of crime, is because of insufficient investment in the education sector, where quite a generation of young people who would have been either in college or in some entrepreneurial and gainful activity have nothing to do, and therefore they were easy to lure, to be given short-time jobs, to be engaged in political hooliganism, cadreism, and violence at the expense of the opportunity they were denied. Free education is a long-term social security scheme which is meant at investing in the long term, because education is the best equalizer. Education is the best inheritance. Once you have had the education, then you are able to compete with everybody else. Just like President HH has said, that hadn't it been for a free education given, to him, he may not have ever dreamt of becoming a president. And it's not him alone. It is many people, including me. I should not have been a minister for Southern Province if I did not get a free education. That gave me the opportunity that even when both of my parents passed on earlier on, I continued, went to university, completed, and joined politics without the hand of a parent or an uncle. The hand that took me all along the way was a liberated mind. That is what we want to do, to liberate the minds of the young people, and then they are able to engage the world on their own, on equal terms.
Thank you very much, Honorable. At this point, I'll allow you to go ahead and mention the other successes that UPND has made in the short time of 1 year, 8 months that it has been in governance.
Thank you very much. What I have opted to do nowadays, because UPND has achieved so much that the list is too long, I just pick those that I feel that they are quite impactful to the people and to the nation. So I've spoken about free education. I have spoken about CDF, which has been increased from 1.6 to now 28.3 million kwacha. What is the impact? The impact is that we have actualized the decentralization program of taking both resource and power to the people to decide their priorities. The consequential effect of that and upon the policy guidance that money taken to a particular locality or constituency should be expended using local manpower there and the local resource. So the money for the very first time is permeating to all the corners of the country, all the 156 constituencies. The money is reaching there. And that means that for the very first time, the local economies are being affected by money which was only oscillating around, mainstream ministries of government, with the central government being the central procurement agency, with a lot of deals done beneficial to those sitting at the center. The decentralization program of the CDF has had massive impact on the ground. You have now in every constituency those who are metal fabricators and carpenters coming together as cooperatives and getting tenders from the council for supply of desks. This is very important. Money is reaching out to the people, but also we are changing the circumstances of a classroom situation where children used to sit on the floor. Now, coupled with the free education, which has seen unprecedented record numbers of children getting into school, government position of enhancing CDF and also guidance that desks be bought has responded to the influx of many young people who have turned out to school. It shows, therefore, that whereas some people are trying to say, no, we have children sitting on the floor now because there are too many. Yes, there are too many because the opportunity has now been made accessible, which they were denied of because their parents or guardians could not afford. That is the situation. Away from that, you have a situation now on the ground where we are talking about NAPSA. Tomorrow, Monday to Friday, and in fact, NAPSA works throughout, even over the weekend.
Yeah.
NAPSA, what we are calling the partial withdrawal or having access to a pre-retirement benefit at 20% if you have made 60 contributions or at least you have attained the age of 45, whichever is applicable. Money is actually reaching out to the people. And I'll tell you that what Mr. Michael Sata was saying, to say more money in people's pockets. This is now when it makes sense that we have more money in people's pockets because people are getting money through CDF projects, people are getting money through market booster loans, people are getting money through CEC loans, people are getting money through NAPSA loans. People are getting money through the doubled social cash transfer. The civil servants have just gotten their salaries increased. It makes sense now to talk about more money in people's pockets. But what this partial withdrawal of NAPSA has done is to allow those who are contributors to access this money while they are alive, while they have energy, and give them an opportunity to invest that money and monitor its progress thereof themselves, and unlike waiting for NAPSA to be investing on their behalf, while they go to microfins and Shylock institutions where they were accessing this money at exorbitant and punitive rates. I can tell you that I'm one of the beneficiaries of NAPSA because I have contributed, for a few months. A few years. I've been at Parliament for 12 years, and I've been contributing throughout this, period. I'll tell you, last week I got almost 100,000, which is 20% of my contributions for the last 2 terms I've been in Parliament. And what I did, and I'll show you these videos later on at some point, I got that money and I say, let's see who was going to make more money for my benefit, NAPSA or myself being in charge. And after all, there's no guarantee that I would be alive when NAPSA would give me that money at retirement age. There's no guarantee whatsoever. So I got that money and straight away went and bought 14 heads of cattle. That's what I did. And I've called them NAPSA. They are called, I've told my workers at the farm, these are called NAPSA. NAPSA animals. So when I come say, where are the NAPSA animals? And we give them names according to some of the, NAPSA. One is called withdraw, the other one is partial, and so
20%.
on. 20%. Where is 20%? So I'm telling you, this is the truth. So I want to see after 5 years or 10 years, those 14 animals, where will they be? And in terms of the money I have gotten compared to if it had remained in NAPSA, I would like to contend with you that it is likely to grow because I'm managing it myself and I've put where I think I can maximize, profit and growth, and gives me an opportunity to be able to access my benefits while I'm alive. And not this tradition where we have had where workers work to die so that those who didn't work for the money come to fight for it and squander it. I would like to indicate here, that when one civil servant or contributor to NAPSA gets their money, you have to know that depending on how they utilize it, they are affecting not less than 6 to 10 other family members, because we are still dependent on an extended family kind of an arrangement, and even a nucleus family usually is goes up to 6 people or more. So we have put in place a policy position which has positively affected the people. This is one of those key promises that were made. It is one of those key promises that have been delivered. Alongside more money in people's pockets, the president had promised in the opposition that once I take over the reins of power of this country, I will ensure that our men and women in uniform, those performing peacekeeping missions outside the country, their allowances is their money. They are the ones who are risking their lives. When they get paid, there should be no point where government should share the way they were sharing. And I'm being polite, the way government was stealing from its workers. 50-50. How do you share 50-50 an allowance which someone has put their life on? If a soldier dies out there in a peacekeeping mission, he or she dies alone and the family loses alone. The government will not say, no, we are going to contribute this. Nothing. So the president has actualized that, and now all our men and women in uniform are ecstatic. They are happy when they come out of those risk undertakings. They come with their full package and be able to invest. And we do believe that empowering citizens to have meaningful stamina to invest in businesses is key to unlocking our economy. Our economy cannot be dependent on foreign investment. We must have stamina as local people so that when FDIs come in, we can reasonably talk about JVs, joint ventures with the local community, knowing very well that we have opened sufficient avenues to empower our local people, for which when they go into these joint ventures with the foreigners, they will not be going there as nominal shareholders. They will be going there as actual business entrepreneurs. That way, we begin on a right trajectory towards improving the livelihoods of our people. These are some of the things we have been able to do. Additionally, still around money, this government has been about the economy and money. I want to remind you, my brothers and sisters from the diaspora, that in the opposition, President HH promised that once we form government, we will ensure that we pay all the retirees, we pay all the KCM workers, all the arrears, we pay Tazara, retirees, all their money. I want to indicate that all those categories that were mentioned as electoral commitment programs, they have been fully delivered. We are remaining by and large those known to myself, 2 categories, ZAM post workers and also workers of the University of Zambia, those who retired after 2017. We are aware. And I'm pretty sure that with the program the Ministry of Finance has put in place to increase and expand grants given to public institutions such as the University of Zambia, and the President last week made those commitments, we should be able to dismantle this local debt which is choking our institutions and the beneficiaries. We are on the right, trajectory. The President promised to lower the cost of production, the cost of fertilizer once in government. I want to tell you that for the first time in a long time, this year, 2023, the government is importing zero bag of beso or D compound from outside the country. All the beso dressing is being locally produced and locally resourced at a reasonable price. 2 institutions are producing. United Capital Fertilizer is producing 77,000 metric tons of fertilizer, and Nitrogen Chemicals of Zambia is producing 44,000 metric tons. The 2 numbers put together equals our national average requirement. And the government, when you check in the this year's budget, did push in sufficient and reasonable funds towards the recapitalization of Nitrogen Chemicals of Zambia. And only 2 weeks ago, the president was groundbreaking at United Capital Fertilizer, where they are now putting a plant for production of top dressing or urea, which is envisaged that in the next 2 years it will be complete and producing more than what the country needs, that we should be able to become net exporters of urea fertilizer and basal dressing to the region. Now, what does that say? It says that the promise to lower the cost of fertilizer is being realized progressively. And once that is done, it means it will affect consequentially and progressively the cost of production of maize, because the main ingredient which makes the cost of production of maize expensive is fertilizer. Once you lower the cost of production of maize, it means you are lowering the cost of the staple food in the nation. Once you lower the cost of the staple food in the nation, you are lowering the cost of the food basket. You are lowering the cost of living in the nation, with only the other side, which has to do with the cost of fuel, which triggers the cost of production of goods and services, for which is entirely not our wish and determination as to where it should sit, because we are a wholly import-dependent country when it comes to fuel. But we have not just sat because we are saying we are completely import-dependent. No. What we have done is we have said, what is it that is within our remit to be able to influence for a positive outcome in terms of lowering the cost of fuel? We have repurposed Indeni from being a refinery of a commingled crude oil. We have repurposed it now to be a release point of already refined fuel, which will be imported and directly fed at Dar es Salaam into the Tazama pipeline, which has since been cleaned of the dead feedstock which was in there when Indeni was closed. It has now been cleaned up, and that dead feedstock of that crude oil has already been processed, and the mines have taken full consumption of the same. There has been no loss whatsoever. We are now just anticipating that in the next few months, we will have fuel pumped direct from Dar es Salaam into Ndola, thereby cutting out the cost of transportation, which is a major component part that accounts for a high cost of fuel in the country. You can definitely agree with me on this one, that this is a country on the move. So these are some of the things that we have been able to do. Those remaining, I already itemized them already. The CEC programs, they are non-discriminatory. You don't have to be UPND supporter for you to access the market booster loans. For the first time, women in markets are shocked. You don't have to be a UPND supporter. No. Whoever is registering, they are getting money, same amounts, no recognition of political, affiliation. The same way we did with employment of teachers, employment of health workers. ZRA are doing aptitude tests beginning tomorrow. There is no political face being, brought near by those processes. The defense and security wings, are also going to be announcing the names of recruits very soon. A diligent and thorough job has been done to ensure that the right candidates are picked. We know that the right candidates are more than the numbers that are available, but it would be a great disservice that even when you have more numbers of those deserving, you end up to put those with lesser qualification. This is what this administration is all about. It is a government of prudency. As we speak, the president is in London. The president not too long ago was in Zimbabwe, and he flew into Livingstone, and then he drove from Livingstone into Zimbabwe, so that he doesn't waste, parking in, fees for the plane in Zimbabwe and so on. The president was in the, US for the UN General Assembly just like he has done before, just like he has gone to Glasgow. He is on a commercial flight like anybody else because he has told the nation that he wants to live in London, where he is. He's going to meet Macron, the president of France, who is a co-chair of the G20, debt negotiation framework, asking for debt restructuring. Meanwhile, outside, he is packed. Macron is coming from an ordinary Air France, plane. Yet you are asking him to give you debt relief. So the president is leading by example. He has not just left it at that. He has ensured that what he does and believes in also cascade down to his cabinet and those in his leadership. Where we are here, this is the vehicle I'm in. This is an old GX which was left by PF, which I'm driving as a minister under the new Dawn administration. And you can see I'm driving myself because for us, we believe that we are servants of the people. That is what the president has insisted. No one will drive a new GX, a new VX. We have first to fix the economy so that the economy can work for our people before we can think about ourselves. This reminds me of what King Charles III yesterday said at his coronation. He said, "I come to serve, not to be served." This is what this administration of New Dawn administration and HH has been all about, to serve and not to be served.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Very long elaboration there. At this point in time, we are going to allow our viewers just to participate. We have a few messages that we're going to read through. Viewers, we have our phone lines available. Please make use of them so that you can fall in and interact with Honorable Mweetwa, who is our guest this afternoon. And we are looking at the performance of UPND in the 1 year, 8 months that they have been governing the country. The number to call is 0972 959608. 0972 959608. So we go through the messages. Please, Director, you can help me with the messages. Okay, so we have a message from Laura. It says, Honorable Mweetwa, you mentioned in your response to the slow pace of response to conviction to be slow due to the president's policy pronunciation. Are you saying that the president is running a dictatorial government?
Yes, I can quickly respond that because I have read it also. I think that my colleague, I think this is Lola Munamonga, you would agree with me that what I said, the president has expressed his wishes. And when the president gives guidance, it ends up to be policy. But if such a policy is of legal nature, it has to become law. It means it cannot be enforceable or justiciable in a competent court of law unless the Ministry of Justice translates as such the same to become law by generating the relevant, the relevant bill to take to Parliament or the relevant statutory instrument as the case may be, or where, if applicable, the courts, by amending the rules of court, decide to amend the period as such. And I said, because that has not yet been done, it means it cannot be enforceable and it cannot be justiciable in any competent court of law. Therefore, it has not yet taken effect, meaning that the president is not running a dictatorial government because he's running a government of laws. He has to wait that what he pronounces has to be translated into law before it can be actualized and given breath of life.
Thank you very much. We have a comment from Wallens. It says UPND has achieved lots. My disappointment is that opposition have become out of touch and irrelevant. The bar HH has raised is too high for opposition to compete. It appears HH is bringing back one party state. No one can reach the bar of achievement in UPND government. Your response to that one?
I agree in part with my brother. UPND has done a lot in this short period of time that has thrown the opposition in total disarray. Even those who support the PF now, I ask myself, how do they feel on two fronts to support a party which let the country down, turned the country into a political hotspot of violence, made the country into a citadel of corruption, collapsed and decimated the economy to negative 2%. And now that they have left government, have continued to be a party of scandals. And ask me about scandals, I will tell you, isn't it a scandal that Shebi Chilekwa shoots Lawrence Banda to death in Kaoma in the presence of PF leaders, and they get him to go and hide him within the compound of State House with one of the officers who were the aides to President Lungu. And even when they left government, police were looking for him. He was hidden within State House. Meanwhile, when he was arrested, they said, no, why arrested Babaman to the president? This is political persecution. We know they are looking for they are looking for ECL to lift his immunity. This is political persecution. After the court convicted him, they start crying for someone who is alive, Mumbipiri. Crying by Professor Ro, crocodile tears. No, my sister was troubled to be in prison for nothing. Instead of crying for Lawrence Banda and his children, that is, we expected them to cry for Lawrence Banda's children, to cry for Nsama, to cry for Joseph Kaunda, to cry for Mapens Chibulo, to cry for Shimuzira. This is the hypocrisy of PF. And now you have seen this Esther Lungu debacle of this whole last week, where there is alleged abduction because they gave a niece safekeeping 400. They were involved in a lot of unexplained dealings. But to an ordinary Zambian like myself, and I believe yourselves, 400,000 is a lot of money. Even when you come from the diaspora with 400,000 kwacha, you can't even give your father or mother or brother or nephew or niece to say, keep it as safekeeping. You take it to the bank straight away. Now, all that debacle, you know what has gone about. You saw they rushed to go and begin to unleash unprintables and insult the head of state. No. We know
Okay. Okay. We seem to have lost Honorable Mweetwa there. Viewers, let me remind you the number that you're calling if you want to call in is 0972 959608. 0972 959608. That's the number that you're going to call, and you'll be through to the studio to make your question, your comment, or contribution. I'm hoping that Honorable will be back shortly so that he can continue responding to the comments and the contributions that you are raising. Okay. So Honorable, welcome back. We know technology is usually against us, but it's good you are back.
Yeah, it's just that I'm using the same phone which many people are calling, so it's really not network collapsing. It's
oh, the other calls coming through. Okay, I see. Okay. Let me read the next message. Okay, this is from Laura. She says, "Thank you, Honorable, for speaking about fuel prices. Apart from Indeni refinery upgrade, how far are we from the Mozambique 15% deal?" Okay, let me also read this other one so that you answer this one as well. This one is coming from Lance. He says, "Good afternoon, Chubonta and Honorable Mweetwa. What makes it hard for the UPND-led government to recognize the achievements made by the previous PF-led government? We have seen the UPND commissioning projects left by the PF, but the UPND has failed to pay cognizance to that." Honorable, please respond to these two comments. The first one
Thank
from
you very much.
Laura asking about the Mozambique. Yes.
Thank you very much. The first issue to do with Mozambique 15% deal. 15%. I have to request that at our next interaction, I will have full details because I do not want to misinform this audience. Yes, so you could kindly tolerate me on that one. Then the issue to do with UPND failing to recognize the achievements of the Patriotic Front. I am at loss to hear that there are some people thinking that we are not recognizing what the PF did. If you followed, and I do believe you did follow, when we went to commission the 750 plus the 12 Kafue lower hydro power station, at that particular launch, we recognize that that was a program which was whose inception was in the UNIP days and whose conceptualization was the MMD government and whose commencement was a Patriotic Front and whose completion and payment for is the UPND. So there can be no contestation about us recognizing what they have done. The challenges we have had where PF want to go on a mountaintop to say, no, we left this infrastructure project, we left this infrastructure project, we left this infrastructure project. Yes, they should go ahead and state, we left this infrastructure project, but it is on Nkongole. We paid so much, outstanding so much. We left this infrastructure project, it's on credit, we have not paid. That is what we should be talking about. You cannot build a road which is on Nkongole, then you want to be on Anantiu to say, give me credit, but you have failed to pay. You, Mr. Chibonda, there, if you are going to build a house and you fail to pay the suppliers of the building materials, including the builders, then your son comes to pay it. No, forgive my father, he had challenges in privatization. I think he was just too excited about making us the children happy that he has built a house for which he had no money to pay for. Pays for that house. Who is the owner of that house? It is for both of you because it's family. The same way as government, when PF commence a project which they fail to pay for, we come to pay for it, and it is a project for all of us. And I would want to elaborate further here so that clarity may be attained. When we talk about the Kafue Gorge Lower, for instance, this is a project which was commenced sometime in 2012. In fact, it was contracted by the MMD government. They are the ones, MMD, who contracted Sino Hydro to commence construction. And once Sino Hydro got on site and government changed, the Patriotic Front came in and renegotiated with the same contractor the amount of money payable as a contract sum and readjusted it upward from about 1.2 billion US dollars to about 2.3 billion United States dollars, same project. And as early as 2017, they began to default their payments to Sinohydro, and Sinohydro demobilized. By 2019, Sinohydro had completely demobilized. They were just charging stand-in time fees for being on site but not working because the government and ZESCO, or through ZESCO, were not meeting their obligations. And in June 2021, because they were looking at an election and a question of load shedding, they quickly mobilized resources and had one generator or one turbine out of 5 being connected, and they quickly went to show, no, the government is working. Now we are tackling the issue of load shedding. June 2021, ahead of the elections. And as fate would have it, that was the only money available just for one genset or one turbine. That was it. When President HH came in, he said, like I promised to end load shedding, we shall make sure that we do not interfere with the operations of ZESCO in any event. We shall recapitalize ZESCO to ensure that it is going to do the right things. I'm going to tell you something about that. That within 1 year of a New Dawn administration, ZESCO began to channel out unprecedented amounts of money to pay Sinohydro, that in no turnaround time, all the 5 turbines or generators were firing, and they are producing now enough electricity. That is why we have done away with load shedding in a region where big economic superpowers such as South Africa are grappling with load shedding as it is a thing of the past because of prudent management. You will ask me, where did ZESCO find the money from? First of all, without even scratching our heads, ZESCO were told to normalize their fiscus and ensure that only genuine employees of ZESCO are paid. Unlike some of the ghost employees who were PF, cadres and the party officials on the ZESCO payroll, all those were removed to leave financial headroom for ZESCO to take money into the commercials where its survival is dependent on. And additionally, ZESCO was owing Mamba Collieries Limited more than 500 million United States dollars, and you'd find that that was giving hiccups to the operations of Mamba Collieries Limited. ZESCO has since entered into an agreement where they are now paying on time to Mamba Collieries for the electricity supplied to ZESCO. The hypocrisy of the old, where ZESCO would get, a kilowatt of electricity from Mamba Collieries at 21 cents per kilowatt. ZESCO buys at 21 cents per kilowatt, and ZESCO, because of political appeasement directive, is given a directive to resell that same kilowatt which they have procured at 21 cents, to resell it at 7 cents or 9 cents. That has now been done away with. ZESCO has renegotiated an affordable rate because Mamba Collieries has seen that a serious government has come into place. And now ZESCO is dismantling that more than 500 million US dollars of debt. As we speak, they are now, on site building 350 megawatt, plant within the same vicinity to produce another 350 megawatts, so that Mamba Collieries now will add to the national grid that wattage or megawatts, which will lead to Mamba Collieries producing 700 megawatts, almost the same capacity as Kafue Gorge. So when you talk about prudence, what are we talking about? We are talking about managing national resources in a manner that ensures that a going concern doing business on behalf of government runs government and business affairs in a sustainable manner. This is a prudence that we are proud of talking about, and the time to argue on political rhetoric is over. We now have to argue with numbers. We now have to argue with facts. The same way I have argued at the briefing 3 days ago, when these PF colleagues or surrogates were saying, no, look, we have this situation where the president is going to London, the president is not going to China, the relationship Zambia and China has deteriorated. Meanwhile, China is our all-weather friend. We have argued to say Zambia today has better bilateral relations with China than before. We now have bilateral relations that are firmly anchored on economic diplomacy based on mutual respect of one country's interests as opposed, as just like the interests of the nation of the other country. Under our colleagues, the previous administration, Chinese came here to invest. Chinese came here to build roads, to build universities, to build hospitals on credit, and the government failed to pay, leading to a situation now where, when we came in, this administration made a cabinet unconscious decision to postpone construction of projects to the tune of 2.3 billion United States dollars relating to projects that were contracted under the previous administration on credit but not yet executed. The new administration is saying, we are only going to procure debt when Parliament authorizes, number one. Number two, when we procure debt and we have money, we are only going to send out bids for commencement or for contraction of contracts and for contracts to begin to be executed when the money is already in our pockets, in our banks. Projects must follow money, not money following a project which has already been procured on credit. We realized, and I do have vast experience myself as being a member of the Public Accounts Committee for 10 years, that when you are going to contract a project on credit, the creditors, the contractors will know that they have an upper hand because you are getting it on credit. So they can even agree to give you at a price you think is reasonable, but because they know you have difficulties to find money, sooner rather than later, you will start defaulting on the timings where you are supposed to be making those payments. Then they come back to you and say, no, look, the time we have done these IPCs, you have not paid. Now it's affecting our operations. Sometimes they demobilize but charge you standing time and begin to call you for negotiations, for variations to escalate the costing of the project. We are not amenable to those kind of challenges because we have learned from the mistakes of the past, the mistakes of our colleagues. We don't want to walk on a trodden path of making wrong decisions. So what we are saying is that we recognize where they have done what is right. We recognize there is no harm in that. It is unfortunate if we were to go the way they went, where some of the projects that were left by MMD in 2010, up to 2021, they were never commissioned. As we are happy to go around commissioning projects that are complete and left by PF, because that was not PF money, it was taxpayers' money. We have to ensure that those projects are commissioned in line with our three guiding principles of prudence. One, contracting a project with the right price. Two, ensuring value for money. And three, timely delivery. If a project has been completed and it was procured by PF, why should we shy from commissioning it and hold back value for money for our people? It is a government, is a going concern. Projects are not for PF, they are not for UPND. We run a race like a relay race. When you give in the button, the next one who gets it must run faster so that you as a team can win the race for your people.
Honorable, you have given a lot of information there. Let us just go through the other comments that have come through so that you could respond to them before we run out of time. Okay, there is a follow-up question here from Nancy. Says, why does this government continue celebrating conventional jobs or employment, which government is mandated to do? Employment of teachers, nurses, or civil servants in all is a mandate of the government, whether led by PF, UPND, or whichever party that comes. What is government doing in making sure that employment is in the private sector is intensified as compared to civil service, which strains the national budget? Your quick response on that one. Okay, before you get that one, let me also put in another
answer
one.
It quickly.
I
can answer it quickly. This one because it's a mouthful. First of all, I'm laughing because it is exciting. It is exciting. Number one, it has to be noted that government can only employ through those channels of the civil service. So if you are saying, why are we celebrating? We are celebrating because we have achieved to do that which PF failed to do in 10 years. We have done it under 2 years. We have employed unprecedented numbers of public service workers. If you put together all the public service workers PF employed in 10 years, they are less than those we have employed in less than 1 year, 5 months. That is worth celebrating because many of our young people we are moving with certificates and degrees on the streets with torn shoes, looking for jobs. They even stopped buying newspapers, looking for adverts, because they knew that if there were adverts for ZRA, for teaching, for what, those jobs were reserved to those who were politically connected, to those who are in leadership. So we are celebrating because now, under the new Dawn administration, even PF councillors had the opportunity to leave a temporary job of being a councillor and got employed, although inadvertently they caused by-elections. Are you not happy with that? We must celebrate that. It is a milestone. Number two, we are not just confined to celebrating those jobs. I have indicated here that through the expanded CDF, the whole countryside has become a job site where those who have arts in metal fabrication, carpentry, building have priority to do CDF projects. That is employment in the informal sector, which we are proud of. When you give market booster loans, marketeers were given 5,000, and because of huge demand, it was escalated downwards. When you give those market booster loans, that is promotion of employment in the informal sector, which we are celebrating, which the previous administration were not doing. They were just giving brown envelopes to those who were politically connected to them. We are also cognizant of the jobs that have been created in the mining sector. First Quantum Minerals have opened Africa's largest what is this uranium, or not uranium, in Kalumbira. This mine which was recently opened in Kalumbira, which they invested 250 million US dollars. And it is Africa's biggest. A lot of employment is being generated from there. We are talking about lowering the cost of fertilizer. When you lower the cost of fertilizer, it means more farmers will access this fertilizer even outside the ambit of FISIP, and therefore they will produce more with the widening and yawning regional market in DRC, Angola, Kenya, up to South Sudan for our white non-GMO grade 1 maize. It means our people in the informal sector are being an opportunity to get informal sector jobs. These are the achievements that we are talking about, except when we highlight those teachers, nurses, they are not the only ones. In fact, I can tell you that those are just a small portion of the beneficiaries at improvement of livelihoods and job creation. Those in the informal sector are in fact the majority. We have now a government that have promoted cross-border trading, to say our cross-border traders should transform from smugglers into formal cross-border trading. And that is something which is good. And you have seen that as a result of such policies, it even threatened shortage of meal. But those are consequences sometimes that come when you are doing something good. A negative can come about, but the important thing is for you to learn lessons of how to apply whatever policies you are putting in you are putting in place. So clearly
okay, the Honorable seems to be having a connectivity issue there. We do have a few more comments that we'll be reading out so that Honorable Mweetwa can respond to them. Okay, great. He is back again. So thank you, Honorable. Okay, thank you, Honorable. I can see the connectivity issue again. Let us just go through the next comment. There's one from Ndate.
I can see.
Takero. What is the UPND government doing over soldiers who were fired from the Zambia army without being charged, with a case to answer over the 100% allowance the president promised to soldiers on United Nations missions?
Well, first of all, I am quite careful not to comment on matters that they may not have full understanding of the circumstances that are presently subsisting or pertaining. I wish to have an update on this particular matter. All I know is that there is a government policy that anybody who gets or got fired, dismissed irregularly, all those people will have to be returned back to the civil service. But I'm being mindful as a former cop that the law that applies in security agencies such as the army is martial law. It is not ordinary law where you enjoy your full rights and freedoms. If what you are claiming for is an entitlement, there is a way you must claim it that should not undermine the discipline of the defense and security wing. That is why when they commit offenses, they are not brought before the ordinary courts of law. They are tried under martial law because their behavior and discipline should be guided by a different law. If you subject them to this civilian law, there will be chaos in the country.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Ribet Jobly says, good afternoon, Honorable. People are complaining that the CDF money is very difficult to access for SMEs. What is your take on that? Let me just go on. He goes to clarify and says, where is the challenge?
Yeah, yes, first of all, I would like to indicate that SME, by definition, is catered for by the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises. So those who are dealing with SMEs, the right doorsteps to climb on are those at the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises through CEC loans, which are being applied for everywhere. But I would like to be honest and agree here that these opportunities, because they were hard to come by before, they were hard to come by. Only those who were politically connected would access. And in lieu of that, the monies made available for such programs were limited. Now that these opportunities have opened and all and sundry are able to access, you find that more people have applied than what current budget can absorb. You would agree with me that no matter how good a country is, even if it were the United States of America or China itself, you start a transparent program of empowerment through CEC. Not everyone who applies will be able to access that money within the first 2 years. Surely this has to be something progressive. A good number like now have already accessed, and then as we go on, just like employment, others get employed subsequently as the economy recovers and assumes a posture of resilience and growth towards stability and equilibrium. It means more money is going to come through as we debt restructure and hedge off Zambia's debt, so that money committed to balance of payments, meeting international obligation, is reverted back into the economy. There will be financial headroom to redirect this money to sectors that matter most to our communities, and that is where we are going to see an improvement. So CDF is not really targeting SMEs. CDF is targeting mainly individuals. It could also have been difficult, but as we speak now, there is a general acceptance in the country that CDF is working. People are accessing CDF, and day in, day out, people are showcasing how CDF is working. The only thing I can say is that the amounts that we are talking about with CDF are quite colossal, and we must admit that this project, with the transparency it has assumed now, we still have teething problems that we must say they are not here to stay.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Okay. Ndate Dilato Tapelo says we have skipped his question. Ndate, the Honorable hasn't skipped your question, but he has said he does not have enough information for him to respond on that one. So he would have to consult so that he does not mislead you or the nation in regards to the question you asked about the fired soldiers. Okay, Honorable, you were talking about CDF. In the past, we saw there were some bottlenecks here and there where people would apply for projects and the year would end without these projects being actualized. Have these issues been resolved? Because I remember, I don't know if it's the other year, there was even some money that was carried over. What has been done to ensure that money can be dispersed in good time and projects can actually get to be done in good time?
Well, thank you very much. And allow me to ask Mr. Ruben Jeremy Mulungu, who is saying when will FRA start buying maize? Because they had said they will start buying maize on 1st May 2023. I would like to indicate here that, climate change is real. And as I speak now, I'm on my way to my constituency, and in my field, I still have green maize. We are still eating green maize down here because the rain started very late, and therefore the harvest has also commenced very, very late. Many of the fields, the moisture content in the grain is still high. I, for one, I've just instructed my people at the farm to cut the maize and heap it so that it can quickly dry up and so that we begin to harvest. That is the reason why FRA has not yet begun buying, because even if they open now, many people are still harvesting, and if you rush people to harvest and they harvest maize which has not yet completely dried, it means when it dries up, it will lose the weight for which it was purchased at. So that is the situation. Coming back to CDF, well, in the past, the challenge which we had was that you have a meager 1.6 million kwacha to cater for an entire constituency. And normally, one of the challenges that would attend is not even the amount of money, but just for councillors to understand that this is not a ward but a constituency development fund. And therefore, you don't need to have like Choma, which has 16 constituencies, 16 wards, and so with 1.6 million, then you say, okay, each ward will get 100,000. No, you must target a project and give it enough funding so that it is completed or near completion. You are able to complete it within the cycle of the 5-year mandate. That is where we are now moving in. We are encouraging councils to say, this is not a ward development fund for councillors to say, I also need a share to go and show my people. For as long as the project is in the constituency, regardless of where it is put, let us fund projects which we are able to complete within a year or two, so that we can quickly get value for money and turn around of optimization of utilization within reasonable time. So that is being addressed at the present moment. But as you would agree with me, these are processes that sometimes there has to be a buy-in to change the mindset of those who sit around the decision making, to know exactly what we are up to, that we're up to deliver quality projects on time.
Honorable, as citizens, tidira kuti ndarama zisikamungati zavuta. Is it true that we don't have enough money in circulation? What is your take on that? We seem to be having a connectivity challenge once again. We hope that is quickly resolved. For those that are trying to call the Honorable, please just allow him to attend to this program and call him after the program. When you try to call him on his line, it disturbs his connection to the program. So please wait until he's offset, and then you can call him. Honorable, I was asking about circulation of money. Are we having low circulation in terms of money in the country?
I hope you're asking me about circulation of money in the economy.
Yes, in the economy.
Yes, I would like to say that, first of all, talking about NAPSA alone, as of Thursday last week, NAPSA had offloaded into the local economy through partial withdrawal 1.7 billion kwacha. This 1.7 billion in the past should have remained with NAPSA to decide how they utilize and create conditions of service for themselves and not conditions of service for their contributors. So 1.7 billion has been released into the market. All these other programs that we are talking about, free education, it means money which was supposed to be given to government is retained in people's pockets. Social cash transfer has almost been doubled, with the beneficiary numbers almost doubled as well. Those days of Macpherson Chanda getting money belonging to the people and bank it in his personal bank to make huge, fixed deposit account interest is over. I think that in line with what President HH has said, to say he sees, he envisages, he visualizes a better country in the next few years to come. That is the trajectory we are on now. Those people who are saying there is no money in circulation, back home, even on radios now, they have reduced, they can't call to say such things. Because someone who is just straight from a bank receiving NAPSA may end up be the next caller saying, if you contribute, contribute, that is the Zambia we wanted.
Yeah.
When we went to the university, the students said, Bali Zangena. This is a meal allowance, if you recall. When I moved the motion in Parliament to say reinstate meal allowance, they stood and said there is no money. There is no money. Even when we said we are instating there to Kabamona, wakafumia kuisenda lama fetu alifirwa. Because the money which was available for public utility was conveyed into private pecuniary advantage, funding dubious by-election in and out. You have seen that from the time we formed government, there has been no by-election we have caused except those that have been caused by operation of law or by way of causation by nature. We have members of parliament in parliament who vote with us but belong to the opposition, who debate and support us openly. We have not encouraged any one of them to cause a by-election where we are going to divert public funds which are supposed to be used for the benefit of the people to go and fund a senseless by-election so that the opposition's numbers are depleted in the house. We are saying let's put money where it matters. And if the people of Zambia know what we are doing and agree with us that we are here for a good cause, they can have their numbers. But when the next election comes, similar that you have seen, the last 31 by-elections that we have had, that out of 31 local government by-elections, only won 2 out of 31, and we have won 29. Many of them in the previously so-called stronghold of PF. The country is on the move, and we are also being mindful that the places we were calling and those we are calling strongholds today, if we don't do the right things, if we take the citizens for granted, if we start acting with impunity, if we start unleashing police brutality on our citizens and prime and radicalize police to say go and break their bonds when they want to talk, we close radio stations, we close post newspaper. Those with alternative views cannot be heard. You find that you only be heard in the ballot box when it is too late for you to make amends. Today, Esther Lungu can go to DEC. She's covered live on ZNBC. Police will go and to conduct a search at the residence of the former president because of the activities related to Esther Lungu. ZNBC will cover live those transactions because we are running a transparent government. When did you ever see PF allow ZNBC to do such kind of a thing? All they are doing now, because they've run out of ideas, they've abandoned their manifestos. Their manifestos now is just vulgarity, hate speech, and insults, abusing the widening democratic space which the president has guaranteed, even by way of demonstration, by repealing the law to do with defamation of the president, to enhance public and national discourse so that there can be more citizens' participation in the governance of the country. They are abusing it to insult him. We as UPND, the party in government, we are disappointed. Perhaps this is the cost we have to pay to democratize our country, in a country where we have a political party and political parties, some of which were anchored on tribal politics, hate speech, division, insults, noise making, that he who makes the loudest noise gets the biggest headline in the newspaper. We want headlines to be anchored on development and issue-based politics. And we want to rally around the citizens that mediocre politics should belong to the past, not the present and the future. We have sufficient know-how, sufficient expertise to be able to anchor the pillars of democracy, the tenets of democracy, that democracy should work for our people the way it works elsewhere, where we have heads of state with citizens fully enjoying their rights, but not taking turns to abuse it, to insult the head of state. We know this is just in the nascent stage of the development of our democracy, but we want the growth of democracy not to be an end in itself, but a means to an end, where the citizens will fully participate and help the government do the right thing, and where necessary, hold the government to account in the promotion of checks and balances. But at the end of the day, it must be about development. Mr. Chibonda, are you still around?
On issues, connectivity issues, Honorable. I'm back. Well, we are heading into the dying minutes of the program. I would like your quick response when it comes to the issue of tribe. You've had assertions that UPND is a tribal party. Even when it comes to appointments, these are done or will be done on party lines. What is your comment on that?
Well, first of all, you have to judge not by what I say, but what you are able to see for yourselves. Many people thought that a UPND cabinet would be full of people from the southern province, if not at best from the northwestern region. Is that the case? Do a statistics, you find the majority are people still from the north. Not by design that they must be the majority, but because this is an administration which wants the participation of all to be equally representative in parliament. So cabinet itself can speak to answer that question. Number two, outside cabinet, because cabinet, no one can dispute its representative. Outside cabinet, you talk about the civil service. Who is the head of the civil service? Who is the head of the civil service? Some are even saying, the secretary to cabinet was left by PF. He was a deputy secretary to cabinet. We have made him the head. Are we discriminatory? Is this a government, a tribal party? They were pushing the agenda of tribe because they were wanting to rely on sensation, to continue to win elections by deception. But the people of Zambia have said, no, na tuna kefifia tribe. We don't depend on umutundu. As we want deliverables, we want food on the table, we want jobs. Tribe has not redeemed us from poverty and squalor. It is the situation on the ground. So when you look at people who are being employed, the nurses and teachers who were employed, did you have any sense that there was a tribal or party meddling in those recruitments? We even had chiefs from Luapula and northwestern and northern province coming out and Muchinga thanking the president for such a transparent recruitment. You also recall that as minister for the province, at some point I bemoaned that the process perhaps may not have passed through my office, but it went through nonetheless. So those who are talking about tribe are those who have run out of ideas, those who cannot compete on issues. And if you are going to have quite a number of people, say from the southern province, western or northwestern, who are going to be employed under this administration, and if you had 10, then you allege that 6, as an example, are from southern, western, and northwestern. Yes, that is a correct thing to be done because we are equalizing. Me, I used to sit at the Public Accounts Committee where ministry officials come. This ministry, that ministry come. Listen to their introductions. Chief accountant, human resource, finance officer. What? Name all those big positions. They were from one region. It is time to equalize through an equitous approach so that we can move towards balance. There is no way. If we are sharing something, we are sharing, there is 100,000 kwacha to be shared. You already have 70,000 in your pocket. There is 30,000 remaining on the table. Then me, I say, no, this 30,000, we can't share it 15-15. You already have 70,000 in your pocket. Can you consider giving me out of the 30, give me 20 so that you get 10, since you already have 70. Then no, you can't do that. No, it doesn't make sense. Let's face facts, and only facts and the truth will set us free, because the Bible says only the truth shall set you free. If people were marginalized for a long time, they were outside, they were in the peripherals at parliament. If you had to find someone in the management of parliament or workforce of parliament who is from southern province or western province, they must have been at the gate as a security guard or as a cleaner. There are 14 departments at parliament. In the last 10 years, 11 heads of those 14 departments were from one region, and only 3 were shared from the other rest of the regions. We come in and bring equitous distribution of positions. Then someone wants to cry foul. No, it's tribalism. Tribalism. No, it is not tribalism. It is equity, and the equity is not law. Equity comes from good practice, that you cannot eat with both hands. You have to ensure that where you have an advantage, don't have double advantage to the detriment of the other party. You need to ensure that whatever advantage you have, be considerate of your other colleagues in sharing opportunities that are available. This is the truth, and nothing but the truth.
Seem to be also having
Are you still there, Mr.
a few technical challenges. I'm here. I was having some technical challenges there.
But I hope our audience were hearing.
Honorable. Yes, I hope so. Finally, before we come to the close of our program, I want you to touch on the events that happened in the past week. Let me say the past 2 weeks, involving the proposed deregistration of PF, as well as the search that happened at Dr. Lungo's place. There have been assertions that UPND are behind some of these actions. And like I said, when we were starting the program, a number of things were said even against the president, and different insinuations being made. What is your position in regards to the two? Sorry, I'll ask you to be brief, because we are actually running out of time. Please, your response.
Just re-mention those two things, because I wasn't getting you earlier on. Sorry? I was not getting you earlier on. What do you want me to comment on?
I hope you're able to. Yeah, I would like you to comment on the deregistration of. Are you able to hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so I want you to comment on the letter that was sent to PF.
Honorable Mweetwa, I would love
yes,
it. I think his question, I'm a bit, I'm waiting for them to do I think it's because of the technical thing we are going through here. Let them sort it out. Let the IT department sort it out. Well, we can go on with the program. With the last question, I think the question he was trying to ask is, with what happened with the former president, a lot of things has been said, as you earlier alluded, that there are a lot of things that has been alleged towards the sitting-in president, that he's the one behind the former president. And whatever happened at his residential house, it was a planned move by the UPND to get to him. What is your reaction?
Well, first of all, I think there was a question to do with the registration of a Patriotic Front. I think that is something to do with the
last question. I think the question was trying.
So I think that that issue has already been dealt with, and I'm glad that the Patriotic Front, through my brother Emmanuel Mwamba, have been able to admit that they had not filed certain requirements, to which they assured the nation that the same had since been filed. That is none of our business. We are not concerned. They have to abide by the law in the like manner that we must abide by the law in terms of the legal requirements of our very existence as an institution. Now, coming to the issue of President Lungu, I would like to indicate that that search had nothing to do with President Lungu. It had everything to do with the former first lady, and not President Lungu. And therefore, those many comments that were made were very, very highly misplaced and misguided, because they what the people go to do, they had gone there to search. I've also heard sentiments to say, but why not call? Why not summon the former first lady or the former president to court through a call out? Well, what they went to do was a search. They did not want the body of the former first lady to be presented before any police station. They wanted the premises itself to be searched for the vehicles and title deeds that were being looked for. That is what transpired. Nothing to do with President Lungu. And I would like to reiterate that as a party in government, we have no intentions whatsoever to lift or remove the immunity of the former president, Edgar Chagwa Lungu.
Thank you so much, Honorable. And your last remarks as we come to the end of the program.
Well, what I would like to say is that the UPND is still under 2 years in government. And this far, I believe that the people have been able to see what we have done. If I were asked to say myself, I would say we have done well. But a lot more work has to be done out there, because our people expect much more, because the change they voted for brought in a lot of expectation. And with that heightened level of expectation, I would like to appeal to our people that our expectations must match the reality of the moment, in realizing and recognizing that we inherited an economy which was depleted at negative 2% growth rate, and now we've moved it to 3% growth rate, 5 percentage points in the positive direction. And that we also inherited a crippling international debt, which has choked efforts at economic recovery. The government is tirelessly negotiating with the lenders, and it is hoped that once that is achieved, coupled with the IMF the debt, stimulus package, we should get sufficient financial headroom to maneuver resources and direct them into areas that will impact meaningfully and positively towards our people. So we ask for patience as we execute these many governmental measures and projects, and ask that in as much as people have the liberty to judge us for what we are doing presently, the final judgment should be in 2016, when we'll have run the full race. In a marathon, it doesn't mean the one who is ahead will end up ahead. We'll surely surpass these difficulties that are ahead of us and emerge victorious together as a people and as a country. I thank you for having me on this platform.
Thank you so much, Honorable. I know we've closed and I know I've already but somebody is saying, if you can allow me to ask this or to comment, Honorable, I know you said bye, but can I just break this rule? Someone is saying, Himba, please ask the Honorable, where are we as the Zambian people over the issue of gassing and other criminal cases that they've gone quiet? We haven't seen any arresting so far. What is going on?
Thank you very much. The issue of gassing, just like other acts of violence we saw, there have been videos all over. You remember over butane debate when, as lawyers belonging to particular political parties, were debating butane at Hotel Intercontinental. We were attacked, and so lawyers were beaten, handbags snatched by well-known PF cadres. No one has ever been arrested. And 3 days ago at our conference for the political party, I bemoaned the inertia by the police to be able to get at these perpetrators and let the nation know. So I'm a party spokesperson. I will not be quick to speak for the police as to where they are in terms of gassing. No. What I can do is that I would request to get the latest and permission that I may disclose, if that may not jeopardize the investigations. As you know, gassing was quite a covert, overt, operation, which was whose main intentions, people on the streets are still wondering what that was all about. So I think that it is not one of those things that can be swept under the carpet. But I don't want to be decisive and conclusive to give out information for which I may not be in a position to substantiate later on. I should be able to arm myself with the same as I prepare for my next interaction on this wonderful platform. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable, and thank you so much for granting us this opportunity to have very rich information and also to update us as a nation where we are, and also to get to understand where our government is. Thank you so much once more, and please, when we come to knock at your door, please open the door, as we would want to hear more and as we want to know more of what the government is doing, and also some of unanswered questions we have as citizens, which would love you to clarify and move with us as you develop our country. This has been Himba with CJ on special interview with our leaders. From me and the entire Ubuntu team, it's bye-bye and see you next time.
You finished? No. Are you finished? Mom. Mommy. Mommy. Mom.